Katie, you saw the actual emails. Tell us about them.
So yes, I did review portions of these emails. What you saw is in the very final days of the Trump administration, basically the end of January and the end of December into January, that period right before the insurrection. Mark Meadows sending emails to the acting attorney general, Jeff Rosen, forwarding emails, asking him to look at least 3 different conspiracies, 2 of which had already been debunked by investigators in both Georgia and New Mexico. And then also to look at the conspiracy that you mentioned, which was whether or not people could download software onto American voting machines from Italy, which most people in the national security community, I think, would say was absolutely not going to happen and not possible. Now, we have no indication that the Justice Department ever acted on any of this. In fact, we've been told that Acting Attorney General Jeff Rosen certainly did not open any of these investigations. But what it shows us is that the White House was pressuring the Justice Department to basically give credence, lend credibility to these conspiracy theories as the president was looking for a way to retain power.
Is this one of the reasons that Bill Barr checked out early? He knew this was coming, or he was already receiving this kind of pressure?
Well, we have reporting that Barr knew that even after the Justice Department told the White House that it had investigated fraud and not found enough fraud to actually change the outcome of the election, that the pressure was not going to let up. And we've reported that that is one of the reasons why he did want to leave. Once you feel like you can no longer have an impact, when nobody is going to listen to you, it does seem like a compelling moment for some to go. And we also know that the minute that Barr's departure was announced and Rosen was going to be his successor, even before he took over, he was called to the White House the very next day to have his first meeting with the former president, where Trump did pressure him to indeed begin opening investigations into alleged voter fraud.
Then are there any potential consequences for Meadows doing this? I know there's a couple investigations going on in Congress.
Yeah, so this is an interesting thing. There are 2 different congressional investigations happening. There's an Inspector General investigation. What we know is that for Meadows to ask the Attorney General to open an investigation is violation of the contacts policy between the White House and the Justice Department. The White House is not supposed to.
But what does a violation mean? That was naughty?
Basically, it means you've broken the rules, but it's not criminal. It's not part of the U.S. criminal code. There's no law against it. So when we think about accountability, it's really the voters who are going to create that accountability. It is voters who will create that accountability. It's Congress that will create that accountability. It's the Republican Party that will create that accountability. It's not a law that was broken.
And there's a reminder, there are no instances of widespread fraud. This is widely known to be the most secure election in history. Despite that, there are still efforts going on right now to overturn the election in some states. Are ridiculous theories like this Italy one, is that what's driving these efforts? Where are they even coming from? And is Mark Meadows still involved in any of this?
Yeah, well, I think that what we've seen is that conspiracy theories have almost taken over the messaging of the Republican Party, and that there's a schism right now within the party as to what to do about this. Do we feed them and fuel them, play off of them, and try to win elections based on them? Certainly, the idea that the election was fraudulent has been the basis for so many of the new voting laws introduced in various states. Or is there a pushback and a move back toward the truth, including the fact that Joe Biden won the election? There's also a role for the current Justice Department to play in all of this, which is, I don't want people to overlook. Right now, as Congress investigates what happened in those last days of the Trump administration, it is up to the Justice Department, the current department under Merrick Garland, to decide what former officials like Jeff Rosen, like his deputy Rich Donahue, can tell investigators. What can they discuss? How much information can they give, and how forthcoming can they be? That is really up to Merrick Garland's Justice Department. So we will see how forthcoming they actually are.